ライがやってきて俺は偉いディレクターなんだ昨日だって一ドラマを撮っててあの父親役の有名人なんでどっちもよく遊びに行くんだけどさありがとうございました
Hello, welcome back. Happy day to you at Gamuso Live Space here in Asagaya. Today, we're talking to Matt Bigelow, singer, songwriter, musician, event organizer, and podcaster here in Tokyo.
Get 'em down wearing the same pair of shoes deep the sapphire blade behind the whip display on the base of the railway to Bombay for me flam it here like a shell wait for another day.
Well, Matty B, you play several instruments, the sax, guitar, drums, and the cajon, unusual. And you also perform in a band. You're a drummer for the Dead Sea Dropouts, which plays here at Gamuso quite regularly. When did you first start playing music in Japan?
I first started playing music in Tokyo at around 2008. Mm-hmm. I had a solo project with a couple of a British guy, a New Zealander, and we were playing at a place called Zen Pussy in Nishiogi, Kubo.
Zen Pussy?
Yeah, run by this girl named Keiko, a real wild free thinker, and these real creative types would go to Zen Pussy in Nishiogi, Kubo. And it was a really cool place to develop as an artist, because one day you would go in there and there'd be like girls taking their shirts off with like electrical tape over their nipples and dancing around. Okay. Then the next day you would go and they were having like a tuna party. You never knew what was going to happen when you went in there. And that's how I first saw the cajon, was in that place.
Oh, really?
I was doing a show and the drummer that I was working with at the time brought in a cajon. And so when I joined Dead Sea Dropouts several years later, I bought a cajon and learned how to use it to match with the acoustic levels of acoustic instruments instead of drums, which are more
so it replaces the drums, the percussion.
It's just a lot less loud and more.
Can you describe it?
Yeah, it's a box and it's hollow. It has a hole on the back.
Made of?
There's various types of wood. I think the more high quality wood, the more you pay for it.
Right.
Just
the harder the wood, the higher the price.
Yeah. And there's 2 guitar strings on the back of the front, if that makes sense. So when you hit the top, the guitar straps snap. When you hit the middle, because there's a hole on the back of the box, it kind of sends a lot of air out the back, like a bass drum, like you get a poof. So it kind of mimics.
Are the strings crossed, or?
Yeah, it's like an X formation on the back of the cajon.
Wow.
So it's very portable in Tokyo. That's good, and it doesn't sound so loud, and that's also good. And people get to hear more of the violin or the trumpet instead of just a loud crashing drum. Yeah.
It's not as imposing as drums.
Correct.
And you can sit on it.
You can sit on it.
On the train.
You can store your stuff in the back.
Oh.
I got a towel in mine. I do.
Okay.
Yeah. And sometimes I reach in there and there's like various musical accessories like bells, or because it's wrapped in a towel and I forget it's in there.
Sounds like you're very attached to your cajon.
Yeah, because it's I never expected to play a cajon, and you have to match your hands up very effectively in order to play it, and it's just a lot of fun. Yeah, cajon's great. Cajon's like my fun instrument. Guitar is like my songwriting instrument, and I can't solo on guitar, but I can write songs. And so then drums is like my jam instrument, where I can just jam out songs with almost anybody.
That's your exercise.
Yeah. My exercise and more free flow.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've been writing songs since 2005. What prompted you to make that switch from a musician to a lyricist?
I have a degree in writing from university. So, but I wasn't very motivated to write short stories.
Okay.
And
This would be a creative writing.
Yeah, so I was
Okay.
applying my writing. So I have two writing sets. One is journalism and nonfiction, which I use for my job that makes me money.
Right.
And
Your
then,
day job.
Yeah, my day job, and then I can apply my writing skills to guitar and write songs as a way,
To lyrics.
something like that.
Composition.
Yeah. I'm making enough money doing one thing. I can spend some time doing the other thing. So it's like a balance.
Which you enjoy.
Straddling, yeah,
Balance.
balance.
Life balance. And the songs which you write, you have been writing now for what, over 10 years
Yeah.
or thereabouts. You used to record or perform those songs, did you not?
Yeah.
Here at various venues in Tokyo. How did that work out for you?
The recording process?
No, the performing.
The
at the
performing
venues.
process. Regarding the performing process, there's a variety of experiences.
Pleasant.
Both. So when I was playing at Zen Pussy in Nishiogi Kubo, which is closed down unfortunately, that was really fun because you could pass the
Darn.
hat and you could collect money. But when you go into live houses, you have to pay to play, you have to promote, then you have to rehearse, and it's kind of very stressful.
So places like Zen Pussy that were more friendly,
It's just like free flow and creativity, but
they're few and far between now.
it's okay. Once it depends on how many people are going to be joining your band. So if you have a 3-member and it's not very loud and it's acoustic based, then a place like a bar like Zen Pussy is going to be okay. But as soon as you get some guitarist with a microphone, an amplifier,
Right.
then the drums pick up and then the bass pick. So you in
And
Tokyo,
the
it's
decibels go up.
this
and,
noise level's forbidden. So they have live houses where louder bands can go.
Right.
Sorry, I'm holding up my book that I'm reading. Gustave Le Bon, The Crowd. I really recommend it. And for that, it's a lot more.
Gustave Le Bon.
The Crowd is cool. You have to focus a lot more on
Appropriate reading for Tokyo.
Well, yeah, it's true. You have to focus more on the business aspect of promoting your music. So you turn yourself into a music promoter, a music organizer, and a musician. So you still have to practice. So it's a very time-consuming option. So for me, that's the negative side. But the positive side was with the Dead Sea Dropouts. We use a donation model where, again, it's an acoustic style. We've played like all sorts of different styles of venues. We did
Large and small.
like we did TEDx a couple of years ago.
TEDx.
Yeah,
Really?
yes, that was really cool because we're very unusual. So there's more of a market demand.
Where was that held?
In Haneda Airport.
Really?
Fly with us or something like that. But then sometimes you're playing at a festival, and then sometimes you're playing in a small cafe.
Matsuris.
And so it's just there's a lot more variety with for me the cafe approach
Right.
than with the live house approach. So that's why I don't play my own songwriter stuff so much live anymore because it's just rather stressful. And so that's why I'm going to focus on recording in the future.
And you're quite happy to have your live performance outlet being the Dead Sea Dropouts,
Yeah, it
which
ticks
is
the
a
boxes.
rather large ensemble.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe, of course, Miho Tomatsu was interviewed here a few weeks ago.
I saw.
Yes. So, to my mind, I assume, rightly or wrongly, that if one is a creative person and one wants to put oneself out there in the world, it's really easy these days. Is that true?
Yeah, it's very easy. Anyone can do it and publish on platforms like YouTube or Facebook Live and things
Right.
like that. I find though sometimes with Facebook Live it compresses the sound or it's focusing more on video. For me, music is really an auditory experience. So
You want to get your music to people who appreciate music.
maybe to listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of viewers. Like
Yeah.
I don't really like watching music videos on YouTube. Like I'm a guy who walks around with audio, and I assume there must
Okay.
be other people like that.
Right.
So
You have really good headphones.
yeah, that's why if musicians can focus, like of course, putting it on YouTube is a must and all that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the
That's a
technology.
must.
Well,
Is that step
I mean,
one?
it's free, so why not?
Okay.
So you can reach anybody in the world, but the return isn't much, and sometimes your contribution doesn't come back to you. And so one interesting aspect of this new technology that I keep on thinking about, and again, blockchain would be if enough people could have interest, for example, in a music coin. There's
back to Tune Token.
Tune Token, yeah, because in the past, like musicians could sell CDs very easily because people had CD players and they liked having a CD collection and things like that. It's not really the case these days, I find.
Fewer and fewer people possess CD players.
Exactly. Or when's the last time you saw any CD player advertisement? Or when's the last time you thought about getting a CD player? Or, I wonder if they have a new double 10-disc rotator CD. Like nobody really...
Oh, yes, the random changers.
Sure.
Yes.
Nobody really thinks about this technology these days. So instead of focusing on how to still incorporate CDs, it would be really interesting instead to focus attention on, which is the main hurdle on this new, because nobody really knows how to use it with music, but it would still be more interesting.
And musicians are getting cheated.
Yeah, I would say this. I would say 10 years ago with the iPod, really the only thing you could put on the iPod was music. So music was a condensed form of a competitive market. But now with 4K streaming between subways, and your phone can download anything, music is competing digitally with everything else at the moment. So the value of music, based on the current media form, is actually much less valuable to the market than before, because people are now accessing games on their phones.
Right.
You couldn't update your credit card between subway stations 10 years ago.
Of course. So the value of the data package,
exactly,
billions of data packages streaming around the world.
And you have unlimited data. So I'm not sure if the musicians are getting cheated. I think that the musicians didn't adapt their own individuality or their own way to disseminate music. They kind of just started giving it away for free, me included. So it would be interesting as a hurdler, to try to understand how to adopt to the next technology before the next technology sweeps me in, like what they did with the previous technology.
Yes, we were all promised that the internet would be a free space for free-thinking people to congregate and express themselves. Way back in '95, that has worked out somewhat, but not exactly successfully. So blockchain would be the next step to circumvent and get music from the performer to the appreciators.
And it would be interesting for musicians to collaborate with blockchain engineers. Like, that just sounds cool. Like, it just sounds really cool. And anarcho-capitalists, like, it would be cool because musicians and anarcho-capitalists and blockchain engineers working together to create some sort of value. Could be cool.
And lyrical cryptography.
Lyrical cryptography, yeah.
Well, good luck to you, Matt, in establishing a new avenue for musicians to connect with their listeners. But more presently, you're also connecting with viewers and listeners through podcasts. Is that correct?
Yeah. I started a podcast a couple of years ago called the Matty B Files, Tokyo Field Reports. And it's developed over the past few years into something that I'm interested in pursuing. It was originally much like this, just two people talking about music, and I was interested to see what other people were doing with their music. So I interview underground bands that come to Tokyo, and I might interview some of my Tokyo friends. Sometimes we talk about music, sometimes we talk about just laughing our balls off. Like, it depends on how things go.
Laughing your cojones off.
Yeah, laughing our cajones off.
So from now forward, you're going to concentrate on actually arranging and recording your own original songs. And your podcast, that would be Matt Bigelow here in Tokyo. Is there anything else?
Regarding working, I'm going to keep doing what I do and just do that. The creative side, I want to, again, try to focus on this next wave of publishing. And one major thing I'm trying to do is eke my way off of social media in every way. So it's kind of getting weird for me these days with like just Facebook becoming a government agency, it seems, and YouTube kind of just blocking, and Twitter is like, it just seems like a weird place to invest your time, not knowing if some mysterious digital boot is going to hit the delete button on all of the effort that you've put into something based on some sort of algorithmic mishap in some middle management's server in some location we don't even know about, could be in the ocean. Like it's just weird. And so I want to get off of that in the future and focus on peer-to-peer or business-to-business technology. And
that's where blockchain would come in.
Yeah, that's right. And that's what gets me back to this book called The Crowd by Gustave Le Bon.
Oh, yes.
He went. This is a French writer in the late 1800s. He wrote this book then. He lived a lot longer than that. But he went around the world analyzing crowd behavior. Okay?
Gustave
Le Bon.
Le Bon.
And now he's writing about crowds. And sometimes I feel like don't have a problem.
A crowd watcher.
Well, our phones are kind of crowd watching because we always have like these groups of digital things in our pockets. Like,
well, you have a crowd in your head via your pocket computer known as a smartphone.
Sure, but when we check on Twitter, when we check on Facebook, we're not really being individuals. We're always kind of lured to this crowd that's screaming in our pockets, dying to be heard. And crowds make people dumber. And I really don't want to be dumber. So if I can focus on individual communication from a peer-to-peer, well, that's going to make me smarter. And so that's why I've been reading this book. And there's an interesting quote that I'll read from this book.
Okay.
From The Crowd by Gustave Le Bon. The power of crowds is to be dreaded, but the power of certain castes is to yet be dreaded more. Crowds are open to conviction. Castes never are. And so with the caste society, I feel like that's like the politics going on right now.
You mean proscribed levels?
Yes.
Like,
I am a this terminology, I am a that terminology. And then they're all kind of shouting together, and it really scares the shit out of me. So that's the future for me, getting away from the crowd, man.
Well, are these castes or interest groups or...
Yeah. Well, how many people just automatically define themselves by political affiliation, which is weird to me because that's just a weird form of conformity. So that's the crowd talking into our phones, luring us into these cesspits of vapid and unintelligible abbreviations that are somehow supposed to sway me into some sort of belief system that I don't even know what the end result is. So the future is to avoid that.
Well, current events require an opinion, and everybody has to have an opinion, apparently. However, well thought and well-founded opinions are a little bit thin on the internet. Thank you very much for joining us here today, ladies and gentlemen. I certainly have a lot to think about when it comes to putting myself out there on the internet. And I hope you've enjoyed our time here with Matty B, otherwise known as Matt Bigelow. Have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you find yourself on the planet.
I got a few things to do, gonna get them done. Wearing the same pair of shoes, keep the sapphire blade behind the whip display. On the base of the railway to Bombay, for me, plan, but he like a shell, wait for another day.